Hello, welcome back to the Texas Real Estate Insights channel. My name is Michael Berger, and I'm glad you're here. A couple of housekeeping things I want to start with. First, it seems like no matter where I look, there's a glare on my glasses. So I want to start by apologizing for that. I'm going to be looking into some box lights or something like that to try and diffuse the lights, but I have the phone there, my computer there, window there, ring light there. So there's a lot of lights bouncing off my glasses, and I apologize. Today's meat and potatoes, what we want to talk about is how the contract, the Texas real estate promulgated contract that we use as real estate professionals for residential, how that addresses surveys and the reusing of old surveys, who pays for a survey, things like that. So let's scoot over this way today, and I will put the paragraph here like I do. And this is actually paragraph 6C of the promulgated contract. And as we can see under 6C1, it gives an option for the buyer and seller to negotiate if there's going to be a using of the old survey from when the seller purchased the property. When the seller purchased the property, he either received an existing survey using this paragraph with his contract, or a new one was done, and the seller now currently has that survey and is going to try to reuse that survey. So the contract, this paragraph 6C1, gives the seller a period of days that they can provide to the title company the existing survey along with a T47. And that T47 is either a T47 affidavit or a T47.1 declaration. I'm going to cover each of those probably in future videos, but to sum it up, the T47 is a notarized document that the sellers, plural or singular, sign in front of a notary. The notary signs it, and what they're declaring in that T47 is that it is a true and accurate rendition of this property. So the property has a footprint and property boundaries. It has easements. It has things on the property, and the survey covers and shows an accurate footprint of the property and how it is situated on the lot. Like I said, it also shows setbacks, easements from utility companies, and things like that. So the reason, if there are changes, then that T47 and the T47.1 do allow for the use of the old survey or the providing of the old survey. The seller has to describe any changes that have been done. So the seller can declare, yes, this is a true and accurate rendition of the property, or they can declare it is a true and accurate rendition of the property. However, there's a shed in the back left corner. We replaced the fence and moved it in 2 inches because it was previously on my neighbor's lot. The minor modifications can make the existing survey still good and usable for the purpose that it's intended. The survey has to be approved if they're going to use an old one by 2 entities. And those 2 entities are the title company underwriters and the lender, if there's a lender involved. Why would a survey not be acceptable? A survey may not be acceptable if it doesn't have the surveyor's seal. If for some reason the surveyor lost his license because he was a nefarious individual. The title companies, underwriters, attorneys, and the lender, their underwriters and attorneys will review the survey and the T47, whether it's a T47 or T47.1. They will review the documents and they will make a judgment call as to whether or not that existing survey is an acceptable survey for their level of liability that they're willing to take on. Another reason that a survey may not be acceptable is if there have been too many modifications to the property. I talked about how a seller can, perhaps say, I put in a shed, I moved the fence a couple of inches, things like that. Those are pretty minor, but if the seller added a master suite and changed the footprint of the property, that would be a reason why it would be kicked back. If the seller put in a pool, sometimes the underwriters of the lender and the title company don't like that, because then they run into concerns about easement. So they would potentially require a new survey to be done. You see at the bottom part of 6C1, there's two choices, and it's a point of negotiation between buyer and seller. If the survey is unacceptable, then a new one will be done at whose expense? And that's negotiated. New one can be done at the seller's expense, or it can be negotiated that a new one will be done at the buyer's expense. The other thing is, if the seller fails to provide the existing survey along with the T47 or T47.1 within the prescribed time frame, you can see in this example we have 14 days. If they fail to provide it to the title company within that window of 14 days, or it could be as short as 5 days, it could be as long as 20. If they fail to provide it within that time frame, then a new one will automatically be done at the seller's expense if the buyer's agent wants it to be done. They can push that issue. It is a buyer's right to force the seller. I have seen situations where a seller would provide it on day 15 or 16, and both the buyer and the buyer's agent are like, well, they got it to us, spilt milk under the bridge, and the title company and lender both say it's fine, so let's go ahead and not worry about it. So when I say forced, I'm saying that they can be forced. It's not an automatic forcing of the hand. If the negotiations of the contract end up that we, as the agents, don't use paragraph 6C1, and we go to make a choice, it's either 6C2 or 6C3. 2 and 3 talk about the fact that a new survey will be done, no questions asked. And then all that does is decide who's going to pay for it. Will it be the buyers who pay for it at closing, or will it be the seller who pays for it out of proceeds at closing? Either way, it's probably best just to use an old existing survey. One, it gives the opportunity for those dollars not to be spent. When we represent the seller, we like for this to be checked so that the seller, can save the money and go ahead and get it submitted to the title company. If we represent the buyer, we don't mind not forcing the seller to buy a new survey, because that can always help in the negotiations, where we're not forcing them to expend cash during or at the closing table on something that they potentially already have. That's pretty much it about that paragraph in the contract. Surveys, reusing old surveys. I want to go through the entire contract. I perhaps should have started with paragraph 1 and worked through. A lot of these videos that I'm making, I'm going to remove this and step back into frame. A lot of the videos I'm making are based on questions that I'm asked in my daily practice with my wife, Gina Candelario. We are real estate professionals in San Antonio. She specializes in homes that are vintage inside 410. If you're familiar with San Antonio, it's built in the Spanish style of wheel and spoke, and she's urban living San Antonio. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else? I think that covers this video pertaining to surveys and the use of old surveys. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. One of the things I'm talking about with Gina over the next week or two is doing some lives. I'd love feedback. Let me know if you'd be interested in lives. You can come on, ask questions, real estate questions, overall market questions, things like that. I'm a contract expert, so you can ask me contract questions throughout this and all videos, any of our lives that we do eventually. Please note that I am a real estate broker with 25 years experience, though I am not your real estate broker. Please like, subscribe, do all that stuff below, and you go have a great day.